Chapter 1106. Sure enough, when Luo Yicheng returned to the company, there were already people who knew about his relationship with Chen Beibei. He took the opportunity to say, "I've already divorced. My legal wife is Chen Beibei now." Luo Yicheng's strong announcement made everyone stop talking on the surface. Humans loved to gossip. It didn't take long for them to dig out the date when Luo Yicheng and Tang were divorced. Then they combined it with the time Chen Beibei was with him and the month of the child. They were speechless. Wasn't this cheating? Luo Yicheng was the boss of the company, so they didn't dare to talk about it in front of him. After all, everyone had to eat. But in their hearts, they despised Luo Yicheng very much. Of course, they despised Chen Beibei even more. Within a few days, Luo Yicheng and Chen Beibei rekindled their old relationship and even had a child. Everyone in Tangguo's circle knew about the fact that she had raised Chen Beibei. Moreover, they clearly dug up the matter of Luo Yicheng being embarrassed by the Chen family back then. Everyone was secretly cursing Luo Yicheng. They pitied Tang Guo, who was innocent and had contributed silently. Those people in the company who had received favors from Tang Guo were extremely angry. They all felt that it was unfair for Tang Guo. When it was time to get off work, the young men and women who had left Luo village all came to Luo Yicheng's office. Seeing them like this, Luo Yicheng rubbed his eyebrows and asked, "What's wrong?" "Brother Yicheng, you've really gone too far," these young women said. "Xiao Guo is such a good person. You actually did something to let her down. You've really disappointed me. Brother Yicheng, how could you do this to such a good girl like Sister Xiao Guo? She's such a good person. You actually divorced Sister Xiao Guo for another woman." The young men were also very sad. "Today, we have to say something for Sister Xiao Guo. Brother Yicheng, you've really let Sister Xiao Guo down. You've gone too far. Sister Xiao Guo is really too good. Even so, she can't bear to hurt you. It's obvious that she really likes you. But you're hurting her. You even had a child with another woman behind her back. You found an excuse to divorce her. No wonder Sister Xiao Guo hasn't been home recently. What's so good about that Chen Beibei?" Luo Yicheng accepted the criticism of countless people. After these people finished speaking, he received condolences from everyone in Luo village, which exhausted him. He only wanted to say that he was only with the person he originally liked. What was wrong with that? Yicheng's words. He planned to tell Chen Beibei about what had happened today and seek comfort. He didn't expect to see Chen Beibei's pale face as soon as he entered the house. She looked like she had just cried. He quickly perked up and comforted her. "Beibei, what's wrong?" "Yicheng, when I went out today, many people were pointing fingers at me. Some people who were familiar with me even called me to ask me how I managed to climb up the ranks as a mistress. Yicheng, these people are really too much. We clearly met first. We only got married after you and Miss Tang divorced. They just can't bear to see me doing well." Luo Yicheng was a little tired, but seeing Chen Beibei, he still comforted her. "It's okay. It'll be over soon. In a few days, they'll forget all of this. Beibei, we're already married. It'll definitely be a little difficult at the beginning. After these days, I'll take you home and hold a lively wedding for you." Chapter 1107. Everyone who knew Chen Beibei knew that she had succeeded in getting married to Luo Yicheng while pregnant. Every time she went out and met someone, they would always ask her how she had managed to hold on to Luo Yicheng so tightly. The first 9 years, and the next 3 years. For a total of 12 years, her family had treated Luo Yicheng so badly that they even forced Luo Yicheng to divorce and be with her wholeheartedly. They even said that even a good person like Miss Tang could not move Luo Yicheng. They thought that Chen Beibei must have some special methods. He even asked her if she had raised a ghost, which was why Luo Yicheng's heart was so tightly grasped. Some of her former roommates who were close to her in university even secretly asked her if she worked hard in bed. Those words were as unpleasant as they could be. Chen Beibei was so angry that she wanted to die. She said on the spot that she and Luo Yicheng were truly in love and that they had missed each other because they were young and ignorant. But no one listened to her. They all told her not to quibble. If she did not have some tricks up her sleeve, how could she have held on to a man for 12 years just based on her feelings? Miss Tang was beautiful and talented. If it were another man, it would be normal for a man to be hell-bent on her in 3 months, let alone 3 years. Qian Beibei could not take it anymore. She could only leave in anger and swear that she would never interact with these people who spouted nonsense again. She and Luo Yicheng were truly in love. Why couldn't those people understand her? Not long after, she received many calls from people who used to know her. They were all asking about her and Luo Yicheng. Luo Yicheng and I were truly in love. We got back together. Miss Tang and Luo Yicheng had no feelings for each other. I only married Luo Yicheng after they divorced, Qian Beibei explained to her friend tiredly. Her friend was silent for a moment before she said, "But Beibei, counting the days, you were already pregnant during their marriage. It doesn't matter if you and Luo Yicheng are truly in love with each other or if you're still in love with each other. During their marriage, you slept with him and even had a child with him. That means you're a mistress who intrudes into someone else's family. If Luo Yicheng is really a responsible person, he should have decisively ended the marriage when he found that he couldn't have feelings for Miss Tang and got back together with her again. Actually, Beibei, that year at Luo Yicheng's wedding, because your family wanted $660,000 as a betrothal gift, he turned around and asked Miss Tang if she was willing to marry him. Although your family is at fault in this matter, it's also because he didn't take responsibility. In the past, I thought that the two of you had nothing to do with each other, so I didn't talk about it. But today, I have to talk about it. If I had been in his shoes, I would have left in anger and never looked back at you. In my opinion, this man is cowardly, prideful, irresponsible, and treats relationships like child's play. Ching Ching, how can you say that to a Cheng? At that time, it was all my mom and dad's fault. They wanted to prepare the money for my brother to buy a house, so they made things difficult for him. Cheng did that because he was too angry. Beibei, no matter how angry you are, you shouldn't ruin someone else's youth and time. Whether it was back then or today, Luo Yicheng has always been an irresponsible man. Forget it, Ching Ching. I thought you were my best friend and called to comfort me. I didn't expect you to be the same as everyone else. Qian Beibei hung up the phone, feeling extremely wronged. Was she wrong? Chapter 1108. She had loved Luo Yicheng for 12 years. 9 years of youth and 3 years of waiting. It had not been easy for her to finally bear fruit. Why did everyone blame her in the end? They said that she was a mistress, that she had used underhanded means to get to where she was. They even said that she was raising a ghost. Why couldn't these people see her doing well? Before long, Qian Beibei had yet to recover from her shock when she received a call from Niu Jinlan. How did Niu Jinlan know about such an important matter? At that time, she scolded Qian Beibei in an overwhelming manner. Hearing Qian Beibei crying, she felt very irritated. Wretched girl, you've really grown up. You actually got pregnant before Luo Yicheng even got divorced. You even dared to get married to Luo Yicheng in private. Are you trying to anger me to death? Why are you so worrisome? Haven't you thought about your family? Whenever Niu Jinlan went out now, people would stop her and ask her what was going on between Qian Beibei and Luo Yicheng. She heard that Qian Beibei was even pregnant. The news was spreading like wildfire in their neighborhood. Even if you can't forget Luo Yicheng, you don't have to make such a big fuss and let the whole world know. I get it. Are you afraid that I will stop you, so you want to make a big deal out of it? Qian Beibei was also very angry. She said, if you hadn't asked for $660,000 as a betrothal gift on the day of our wedding, would Luo Yicheng and I have broken up? Would things have come to this? Also, Yicheng and I are truly in love. He has no feelings for Miss Tang, so he divorced to be with me. Qian Beibei, do you know how terrible the rumors are now? So what? If they want to laugh at us, so be it. In any case, Yicheng and I will not break up. It will not go according to their wishes. Yicheng and I will love each other for the rest of our lives and raise our child together. And you, Mom, this time, Yicheng and I are already married. Don't even think about the betrothal gift. After that, Qian Beibei hung up the phone. This time, she would never let the betrothal gift affect her relationship with Echeng. Since Echeng could withstand the pressure to marry her, she could also withstand the pressure from her mother. She could no longer stop them from being together. After that, Chen Beibei basically did not go out. After Luo Yicheng got off work, she returned to the house she shared with Chen Beibei. They comforted and comforted each other, blocking out the voices outside. It was as if they could only hear each other's sweet words. In this state of self-deception, they were doing pretty well for the time being. Luo Yicheng thought that after Beibei gave birth to the child, his mother should be able to accept everything. Chen Beibei thought that this matter would soon pass. When her family realized that they could not dissuade her, they would slowly accept it. As for the gossipers outside, they would forget about this matter sooner or later. Everything would be fine. These were the words they used to comfort each other. They did not know that every time Niu Jinlan went out, she would come back angry. They also did not know that every time Mother Luo went to a party, she could feel many obscure and strange gazes, which made her face burn. We are old and can't control it. The young think differently from us. Mother Luo looked very pitiful. As a mother, I did not teach my son well. That's why I lost such a good daughter-in-law like Xiao Guo. The people at the party saw that Mother Luo had lost a lot of weight and felt some sympathy in their hearts. That woman did not marry into your family, did she? Chapter 1109. Mother Luo sneered. How can I let her enter the Luo family? She got married without her parents' permission and even lived outside. To put it bluntly, this is called elopement. Echeng hasn't even gotten a divorce yet, and she's already seduced him. I don't care about this kind of woman. I heard that she's pregnant with Echeng's child. Weren't you looking forward to having a grandson a while ago? Mother Luo was silent for a moment and said, since she has Echeng's bloodline, I can't deny it. You have to think about this carefully. Your family's future is bright now. You can't let this woman ruin it. Mother Luo was stunned for a moment and said, what do you mean? Think about it. This woman is now able to rely on her child to climb up the social ladder. She abducted your family's Echeng and even bought a house to support her. How powerful is this method? In the future, your son will be your grandson. If your grandson makes you happy, you might accept her. Actually, it's none of your business. The more a mother meddles with the woman a man likes, the more she will ruin his good impression of her. It will also cause a gap between mother and son. Mother Luo nodded in agreement. She didn't directly go up to Chen Beibei because she was concerned about her relationship with Luo Yicheng. But you can't ignore it. If this goes on, your family's Echeng will be easily abducted by her. Who knows, he might not even acknowledge you as his mother in the future. What's more frightening is that she will also control your family's finances. At that time, haha, think about it yourself. When a man is happy and a woman coaxes him, who knows what he will give away? Mother Luo frowned. I've never asked about this before. Xiao Guo has managed this family well. Tang Guo is the daughter of the family Tang. Her family is rich, and she has a majority of the shares in your family's company. She doesn't care about this. Chen Beibei is different. I'm afraid you don't know. A few years ago, I heard that Chen Beibei's aunt introduced many old men to her because her mother couldn't afford her brother's betrothal gift. Their family is a blood-sucking place. Actually, I don't understand why your family's Echeng cares so much about a daughter from a family like the Chen family. Back then, the Chen family looked down on your family's Echeng, so they didn't get married. Mother Luo asked unhappily, what do you mean by the Chen family looking down on you? When Mother Luo asked this, the surrounding people were a little surprised. You didn't know? Echeng's wedding, Mother's mother Luo's family. Mrs. Luo grabbed the person who spoke and quickly asked. Actually, I've heard about this as well. It said that on the day of your Echeng's wedding, the Chen family forced him to take out 660,000 yuan as a betrothal gift. If he couldn't take it out, they wouldn't allow Chen Beibei to marry him. At that time, your family's Echeng even asked the Chen Beibei if she wanted to leave with him. In the end, Chen Beibei rejected him. Later, your family's Echeng asked Miss Tang, who had always liked him at the wedding, if she wanted to leave with him. Miss Tang really likes your family's Cheng, and there were so many people at that time. She couldn't bear to let your family's Cheng lose face again, so she had no choice but to agree. This girl is really silly. She's not a fool. She probably knew what would happen if she agreed, but she still agreed. Chapter 11:10. She probably wanted to slowly develop a relationship with your Cheng. I didn't expect that after 3 years, she would still be hurt. After Mrs. Luo heard everything, she returned to the villa in a daze. Many days ago, the Tang family had come to take Tang Guo home. How could she not know about the marriage between Cheng and Xiao Guo? She felt a little sad. Was her son really stupid? It was her fault for not teaching him well. She had failed to keep such a good person. He deserved it. Lawyer Ji Yu, your task has been completed. Actually, I'm no longer interested in this news. Tang Guo dug into the ice cream in her bowl and ate it in small bites. What happens to the Luo family now has nothing to do with me. Ji Yu smiled. Take this as a gift from me. He glanced at the ice cream that was almost empty. Miss Tang, ice cream is cold. It's better for girls to eat less. It's not good for their health if they eat too much. I didn't eat much. It's because Lawyer Ji Yu is very enthusiastic. Every time he asks me out, he will buy me a set. Tang Guo said with a smile. Ji Yu looked at her smile and his heart skipped a beat. She looked really beautiful when she smiled. This was his future wife. She was so beautiful, and so cute. Everything was good, but she was especially difficult to deal with. She always liked to talk about other things, so he didn't have a chance to confess properly. Miss Tang. What? Lawyer Ji Yu, I'm single now. There's no need for you to promote any business with me. No, Miss Tang, I have something very important to tell you. Tang Guo stopped what she was doing and looked at Ji Yu. What is it? Lawyer Gu's expression still makes me think that you're going to promote some set meal to me. Yes, this time, I also want to recommend a unique set meal to Miss Tang. Ji Yu's expression became much more serious. If one observed carefully, they could feel that he was a little nervous. Tang Guo chuckled. Lawyer Ji Yu indeed. You never forget to solicit business. All right, I'll listen to what you're trying to sell me. However, Lawyer Ji Yu, you should know that I don't need any set meal now. No, Miss Tang, you need it. Tang Guo put down her spoon and lifted her chin slightly. She looked straight at Ji Yu and said, All right, Lawyer Ji Yu, it's time for your promotion. 5 minutes. The corners of Ji Yu's mouth twitched. This woman was really infatuated with him. He coughed lightly, straightened his back, and looked at Tang Guo with a serious look that had never been seen before. Miss Tang, the set meal I'm going to promote this time is one of a kind. This kind of set meal did not require Miss Tang to pay a single cent, nor did she need to spend any effort, nor did she need to worry about the expiration date. This is because this set meal is for life. Tang Guo's eyebrows twitched. She was dying of laughter in her heart. System, he was dying of laughter too. The name of this set meal is Ji Yu. He is one of a kind in this world. The only thing Miss Tang needs to do is to accept it. He knows how to cook, do housework, earn money, is handsome, knows how to sweet talk and make you happy. Ji Yu looked at the smiling Tang Guo and continued, he is very loyal. His loyalty belongs only to you. As long as you are willing, he will never betray you. He will always stand by your side, protect you, and care for you. Even if you want a star, he will pluck it for you. Chapter 11:11. Of course, he can also make ice cream with all kinds of flavors. In the future, even if you want to eat it in the middle of the night, he will make it for you. Miss Tang, the name of this package can also be called the perfect boyfriend. You deserve him. He will only move for you. After he finished speaking, Ji Yu's back was drenched in cold sweat. He was more nervous than when he was in court. As expected, this woman was the biggest problem in his life. What was even more frightening was that she was still smiling after he finished speaking. Her expression was different from what he had expected. So, this package is actually Lawyer Gu's self-recommendation? Tang Guo finally spoke after a long time. Ji Yi sighed and quickly replied, "Yes, it is my self-recommendation. I have admired Miss Tang for a long time and finally have the chance to express my feelings. Miss Tang, I don't know if you are willing to give me a chance. Once I, Ji Yi, make up my mind, I will keep my word. If you give me a chance, I will not let you down. I will be responsible for you for the rest of my life." Lawyer Gu's self-recommendation is very sincere. Tang Guo smiled. "But I have just become single and I don't want to date yet. My previous relationship left a psychological scar on me. Now, I want to live a free life. Also, what I want to do the most now is to make money. I will make money." Ji Yi quickly said, "In the future, all my money will be yours." Seeing Tang Guo's smiling face, he continued to cheer her up. "What is yours will still be yours. What is mine will still be yours. I will always be yours. System, what a joke." This stingy Ji Yi really knew how to take advantage of the situation. Tang Guo rested her chin on her hand and looked up. "But I don't want to date yet." "It's okay. I will wait until you feel like dating." Ji Yi had already decided that he would not give up until he won her heart in this lifetime. Tang Guo smiled. "Since Lawyer Ji Yu is so sincere and you like me, I can't reject you directly. If you want to wait, I can't stop you, right?" Ji Yi was overjoyed. How could he not understand that this was an opportunity for him? "Yes, I will show you my sincerity." Tang Guo stood up. "I'm no longer interested in the Luo family. Lawyer Ji Yu, you don't have to tell me about them anymore. After 3 years of hard work, I'm a little tired. I plan to go on a trip to relax." Ji Yi's expression changed and he asked, "Is Miss Tang alone?" "No, I'll hire bodyguards and assistants." Tang Guo smiled brightly. "Anyway, I have money. Even if I don't work, there will be people working hard to make money for me every day." Hearing this, Ji Yi thought of Luo Yicheng, who worked hard every day. He deeply agreed. This cow was going to make money for his wife for the rest of her life. His wife was really smart. She could even come up with such a plan. The most important thing was that the bull was willing to do it. When the Tang family found out that Tang Guo wanted to go on a trip, they were worried. When she said that she wanted to find bodyguards and assistants, Mother and Father Tang immediately took over the matter and said that they would personally choose the person. 3 days later, the two of them told Tang Guo that they had found a suitable person. They were full of praise and even said that this person was worth 10 people. His boxing skills were not bad. He was tall and strong and looked very energetic. He knew how to cook and his voice was quite pleasant. He could even speak many languages. This person could completely satisfy their precious daughter's needs. He also had all kinds of professional certificates and experience traveling around the world. They were very assured. Chapter 11-12. Tang Guo felt that there was no problem, so she agreed. Mrs. Tang and Mr. Tang invited the bodyguard-cum-assistant in. When they saw Ji Yi, the system laughed so hard that the numbers were all over the place. He knew that there was something wrong with the person who was praised so much. When Tang Guo saw Ji Yi, she was slightly stunned, but she was not surprised. "Dad, Mom, isn't he Lawyer Ji Yu?" "That's right, his Lawyer Ji Yu." Mrs. Tang smiled and said, "Lawyer Ji Yu is really not bad. Although his reputation is a little bad, he has helped us with a lot of things." "Xiao Guo, do you have any prejudice against Lawyer Ji Yu?" "We have been in contact with Lawyer Ji Yu for the past few years. He is definitely not the kind of person that people say he is," Mr. Tang added. Tang Ming and Tang Feng nodded. "Lawyer Ji Yu can be quite good sometimes. Sister, don't worry. After thinking about it, we don't trust other people we don't know. Speaking of which, we really feel a lot more at ease when we work with Lawyer Ji Yu. Ji Yi was a little stingy, but he was reliable in his work. Moreover, he only acknowledged his first employer. In this aspect, he was very trustworthy. Of course, sister. If you are not satisfied, we can change the person." Although the Tang family felt that Ji Yi was not bad, if their baby did not like it, they could change the person. They did not think that there was anything wrong with Ji Yi taking on this job. This was because in their eyes, Ji Yi was a person who would make money if he had money. He would definitely not miss it. He was a little stingy, but he was reliable in his work. They had offered such a high price, so it was not strange that Ji Yi would take on the job. Moreover, in the past 3 years, Mrs. Tang and Mr. Tang had been looking for Ji Yi to do things for them from time to time. He could really do things perfectly. Although he had a bad reputation and was rumored to be a stingy person, he was actually a good person. He was not stingy to them. They felt that lawyer Ji Yu treated different people differently. They had never thought that Ji Yi would have other intentions, such as snatching away their precious baby. Tang Guo walked up to Ji Yi with her arms crossed and asked with a smile, "Okay, lawyer Ji Yu it is then. However, I am a very troublesome and lazy person. Since lawyer Ji Yu has accepted this case, you are not allowed to despise me for being troublesome." "That won't happen." Ji Yi's eyes were filled with joy. It wasn't troublesome at all. His wife's business was his business. If it weren't for the fact that he was afraid that the family Tang people would suspect him, he would have done it for free. Wasn't it natural for him to be his wife's bodyguard and assistant? Why would he need money? He had to be stingy with everyone, but he had to be generous with his wife. His entire being belonged to his wife. What else could he not give her? The next day, Tang Guo brought along her all-around assistant and Ji Yi to travel around the world. They first went to the beach. Ji Yi rented a house and prepared a seafood feast for Tang Guo. During the day, he took on the role of photographer and helped her take all kinds of beautiful photos. They then went to a place with mountains. The mountain was very tall. Halfway there, Ji Yi suggested, "Why don't I carry you up? The mountain path is very difficult to walk on. Your legs will hurt tomorrow." "Lawyer Ji Yu, do you really think you are a cow?" Tang Guo asked with a smile. "If I can be your cow, then I am willing to do it." Ji Yi said sincerely. In his heart, he thought that if he was a cow, then his wife would be the most difficult piece of land to plow. Tang Guo shook her head and stretched out her hand. "Hold my hand. You still have to climb the mountain with me on your back. I am so tired halfway there. I still have to think of a way to carry you down." Chapter 11:13. Ji Yi was very excited. He quickly squeezed his future wife's small hand and carefully led her up. "System, I can already feel the host's great joy. This guy is really not bad. He really knows how to please the host." For 4 hours, Ji Yi held Tang Guo's hand the entire time. From time to time, he would ask if she could still walk. If she couldn't walk, he would carry her. The system couldn't help but guess that all of Ji Yi's gentleness and meticulousness in this lifetime had been used on the host. At first, they were walking hand in hand, but when they reached the narrow plank road, he simply took advantage of the situation and wrapped his arms around Tang Guo's waist. The two of them were tightly pressed against each other. Ji Yi felt that the world was complete at that moment. "Lawyer Ji Yu, when you usually take advantage of loopholes, do you do the same thing as now? Do you immediately take advantage of the slightest opportunity?" Tang Guo asked. She had no intention of breaking free from Ji Yi's grasp. Ji Yi gently supported Tang Guo's waist and said softly, "If I didn't take the initiative, how could I be standing here with you? Miss Tang is the most beautiful cloud in the sky. Only the wind can catch up to you." Tang Guo couldn't help but laugh. "So, you're the wind?" "Yes, I'm the wind and you're the cloud. I thought you were going to say that you're the wind and I'm the sand. How can the sand be more beautiful than the clouds? Especially the clouds in the morning and at night. They're the most beautiful." Ji Yi held Tang Guo's hand tightly. "My favorite thing to see are the clouds at night and in the morning. They're the most beautiful." System, this scheming boy. Looking at the clouds in the morning meant that he could spend the night with his host. When he woke up in the morning, he would see his host beside him. Looking at the clouds at night meant that he could spend the day with his host and sleep with her at night. Didn't that mean that he could hug his host and look at her? Together, it meant that he wanted to spend the day and night with his host. Sure enough, He was a scheming person who liked to take advantage of loopholes. The adult world was really full of colors. Lawyer Gu, you said you know how to make ice cream, right? Gu Yi quickly replied, of course. When did you learn it? Tang Guo was a little curious. Men shouldn't like such things too much. She had never seen Gu Yi eat anything sweet before. He didn't seem to like sweet things either. Gu Yi recalled the days when he learned how to make ice cream. He smiled and replied, it should have been more than 2 years ago. Oh, I remember that Lawyer Gu doesn't like sweets. Why would she want to learn how to make ice cream? Tang Guo asked even though she already knew the answer. Gu Yi was a smart man. His eyes became more serious as he said honestly, because you like to eat. I think that once you learn how to cook, I can cook for you whenever you want to eat in the future. Lawyer Gu is such a thoughtful person. Tang Guo said, you're also quite scheming. Lawyer Gu has such skills. If you really put in the effort, I'm afraid there aren't many women in the world who can resist your coaxing, right? But I only want to coax you, Gu Yi said regretfully. I don't know if I can coax her back. Lawyer Gu, you have to work harder. I'm the kind of person who's hard to coax. If I get angry, I can't be coaxed back. Tang Guo tilted her head and looked straight at Gu Yi. I accept your intentions, but you have to think it through, Lawyer Gu. You can recall what happened to Luo Yi Cheng. This is the consequence of offending me. Gu Yi smiled. His heart was full of joy and excitement. I've already thought about it. The second time I saw you, I'm attracted to you. Chapter 11:14. Ever since I found out that you were planning to divorce Luo Yi Cheng, I've been restraining myself from messing with Luo Yi Cheng every day. I know that you only see him as a perpetual money-making machine. I shouldn't be jealous of a machine. I've been waiting and waiting. I've been waiting for so long that I'm about to die. But you've finally gotten a divorce. Miss Tang, I really want to be with you for the rest of my life. I'm willing to love you for the rest of my life. Gu Yi's expression was very solemn. So, can we be together? I can guarantee that my heart and body will only belong to you. Do you want to give it a try? System, this was a colorful courtship sentence. God, why was he so dirty? She had been tainted by Gu Yi's stinginess. Tang Guo lowered her eyes and smiled. Gu Yi was extremely nervous. She could even hear his heartbeat. After a minute, she finally raised her head. She could feel that his palms were sweaty. She said, if Lawyer Gu isn't afraid, then let's do it. And I'll say this first. You have to do what you say. If you can't do it, then don't make any promises. Of course. Gu Yi was unusually excited. He hugged her tightly. The feeling of hugging his wife was simply too wonderful. He would never do anything bad or betray his wife. He had finally managed to coax her. How could he follow in Luo Yi Cheng's footsteps? The woman in his arms right now was his treasure. The treasure that he would cherish for the rest of his life. In the following time, the system was stuffed with a lot of dog food. He looked at the people around him with different expressions on their faces. He felt a little sympathetic. These people must have been stuffed with a lot of dog food. Guo Guo, are you thirsty? Do you want something to drink? Ice cream. You've already eaten 2 today, so you're not allowed to eat ice cream today. Have some drinks. They're sweet and taste good. And after walking for so long, your legs must be sore. Put your legs on me, and I'll help you rub your calves. It won't hurt tomorrow. It's a little cold on the mountain. I put a jacket in my bag. It's just in time. When the wind blew, Gu Yi took out a jacket from his bag and put it on Tang Guo, hugging her. This scene made the eyes of a few couples who were shivering in the cold wind to twinkle with stars. Look at other people's boyfriends. Water, drinks, snacks, and jackets are all prepared. Look at my family. They're empty-handed. They only have a mobile phone and a wallet. They say that everything is sold on the mountain. Can it be compared? I can't compare. They went up the mountain. Other people's boyfriends gave their girlfriends water, rubbed their legs, asked about their well-being, and put on their jackets. My boyfriend carried his camera and went to take pictures of the scenery. System, sympathy. Tang Guo couldn't help but laugh as she listened to the girl's whispers. Ji Yuyi whispered to her, Guo Guo, don't you think a perfect boyfriend like me is very useful? It's very practical to bring me along wherever I go. It's very useful. Tang Guo touched Ji Yuyi's face and said softly. Ji Yuyi took the opportunity to say, then bring me along wherever you go in the future, okay? Don't you want to earn money? Lawyer Ji Yu, if you don't earn money, how are you going to support me? Baby Ji Yuyi felt bitter. Why did his wife love money more than him? Fortunately, he was already prepared. He sat beside her and placed Tang Guo's legs on his lap, gently helping her massage her calves. Guo Guo has already found a perpetual money-making machine. I've also found quite a few. Now, most of the things are done by my subordinates. Most of the time, I just sit there and collect the money. P.S. Readers, I'm Du Shaw. I recommend a free app that supports downloading, listening to books, zero ads, and multiple reading modes. Please follow book friends. Quickly follow. Peek. Chapter 11:15. Unless it's a very difficult case, you don't need me. Enacom so, Guo Guo, take me along. Ji Yuyi said pitifully. He was clearly a grown man, but when he acted cute and coquettishly, he was really good at it. He had never been thick-skinned since he was young. As long as he could achieve his goal, it was fine. Moreover, in front of his wife, he didn't need to be thick-skinned. He just needed to coax his wife to take him along. Tang Guo's calves were very comfortable being massaged. She also reached out to help Ji Yuyi massage his back as she replied, okay, I'll take you along. Only you. In the future, I'll only take you around the world. Anyway, someone will help us earn money, right? Yes. Guo Guo is right. Unknowingly, Tang Guo and Ji Yuyi had been away for a few months. In these few months, they first toured the country, then went to other countries to visit all kinds of unique places. 1 ton and 1 ti. When Ji Yuyi first appeared in Tang Guo's circle of friends and acted intimately with Tang Guo, the Tang family's expressions almost collapsed. Tang Guo's older brother, Tang Ming, couldn't help but curse. I finally understand why Miser Ji Yu would sell us the information on Luo Yicheng and Qian Beibei for only $10,000. So this bastard has designs on our sister. Tang Feng quickly said, we've been tricked by him. Now he's coaxed our sister. The two of them were very angry and said in unison, no, I don't agree. How can our sister marry such a stingy man? I definitely won't agree. Our sister is so innocent. She'll be tricked to death by him. Mrs. Tang and Mr. Tang were much calmer. They looked at the photos of the trip. Mrs. Tang said, actually, little Ji Yu is not bad. Look at these photos. All the luggage is on little Ji Yu. Our Guo Guo is only carrying her phone and snacks. Then look at Xiao Ji Yu. He has a bag on his back, 2 around his neck, and 2 suitcases in his hands, not including the handbags on top. Yes, I've interacted with Xiao Ji Yu so many times. He's indeed not bad. There's no need to deny him because of the rumors and discussions of outsiders. He's always been very reliable and has never made a mistake. This kind of person is really outstanding. He's so young, but I've never heard of him having a messy private life. If he really has feelings for our Xiao Guo, you can take a look at him. He's a really good person. Compared to Tang Guo's 2 older brothers, Mrs. Tang and Mr. Tang seemed to have accepted the fact and expressed that they would need to investigate further. When the 2 brothers heard this, they felt as if there was nothing left to live for. It turned out that he had already taken care of their parents. Now that their sister had agreed, what else could they do? Or should I put him in a gunny sack and beat him up? Ji Yuyi did not know that his 2 brothers-in-law really wanted to put him in a gunny sack and beat him up. Now that he had finally coaxed his wife, of course, he had to accompany his wife on a happy trip around the world. The people in the studio called him many times and said a lot of things anxiously. In the end, Ji Yuyi said lightly, without me, will your lives be in danger? No, Lawyer Ji Yu. Then think of a way yourselves. I'm not your father. You can't come to me if you're in trouble, right? Think of a way to solve it yourselves. This is a good opportunity to improve your personal abilities. Peak. Chapter 11:16. Please remember that you are all adults. You have to learn to solve your own problems. Huaranwan Enacom. With that, he hung up the phone and hugged his wife's waist, preparing to go to the bottom of the sea to play. The people in the studio listened to the busy tone on the phone with a bitter expression. How was it? Boss asked if we would die without him. I said no, and he said that he is not our father. We can't look for him whenever we are in trouble. He also said that we are all adults and have to learn to solve our own problems. Wow! I really don't want to grow up. The colleagues. The boss found a good excuse. Did he think that they did not look at his WeChat moments and did not know that he was showing off his beautiful girlfriend every day? He forgot about his friends when he saw a beauty. He did not do his job properly. With a beauty, he forgot about his country. Tangua's life was very good, but Chen Beibei's life was not so good. In the first few months, she did not go out and did not answer the phone, avoiding a lot of trouble. But because she was pregnant and did not go to work, coupled with all kinds of troubles, she always felt uneasy. In the beginning, Luo Yicheng comforted her and coaxed her every day. Later on, Luo Yicheng was tired from work and fell asleep when he came back, and the two of them talked less. However, every time she reminded him, Luo Yicheng would apologize to her or something. She felt much more at ease. Seeing that the child would be born in 2 months, she could not help but ask when they would hold the wedding and how Mother Luo was doing. Beibei, don't worry. I will go back and discuss it with my mother tomorrow. Okay. The next day, Luo Yicheng returned to the villa that he had not returned to for a long time. Mother Luo saw him and did not have any intention of scolding him. He said, "Mom, Beibei will give birth in 2 months." I know. I have been counting the days. Mother Luo said expressionlessly, "Why, you finally remembered to come back today? Mom, are you still angry?" Mother Luo looked up and looked at Luo Yicheng. "You are my son. How long can I be angry with you? Tell me, why did you come back this time?" "Mom, Beibei is about to give birth. Shouldn't we give her a wedding?" A wedding without the parents of both parties was not a wedding. As long as both parents were present, he and Beibei were truly married. Mrs. Luo sneered in her heart and said, "Icheng, are you really going to marry Chen Beibei?" "Yes, Mom. I can't let her go." "Icheng, have you ever thought that you can't blame anyone for your misunderstandings? You can only blame yourselves for not being firm enough. If she had resisted earlier, you two would have been married. If you persist a little longer, you might be together." "I know I was wrong, Mom. That's why I got back together with Beibei. I've decided not to separate." Seeing that Luo Yicheng did not understand what she meant, Mrs. Luo stopped persuading her and said, "We can have a wedding, but I have a condition." "Mom, go ahead." Mother Luo took a deep breath. "I'll take care of this family in the future. When I'm 100 years old, I'll hand it over to you." "Mom, what do you mean?" "What I mean is that you will hand over the financial power to me for the time being. All the money you earn, except for your expenses, will be handed over to me and I will distribute it." "Icheng, don't you know what kind of person I am? Are you afraid that I will take your money?" Mother Luo smiled and said, "I don't lack money. Back then, Xiaoguo brought me into the stock market and made a lot of investments. I even invested some money in your brother-in-law's pig farm. I have shares, so I don't lack money." Peak. Chapter 11:17. Icheng, I'm doing this for your own good. Chen Beibei is so soft-hearted. How can she not subsidize their family? She might even buy a big house for her brother. You might even have to take care of her brother in the future. Enacom, seeing that Luo Yicheng was still hesitating, Mother Luo said, "Icheng, don't forget that you almost lost face at your wedding. If you hadn't met Xiao Guo, that kind child, would you be where you are today? Chen Beibei may be a simple girl, but she's soft-hearted. You should have known from the wedding that she couldn't stand being cheated by her family. I'll help you look after this family. When I'm dead, The Chen family won't be able to interfere. Don't you think so? Mom, I'll listen to you. I'll leave all the financial power to you in the future. Luo Yicheng also thought about the wedding. Even if he loved Chen Beibei, there would always be a knot in his heart. 1 ton and 1 ti he could forgive Chen Beibei, but he couldn't forgive the Chen family. Mrs. Luo smiled and said, "All right then. You can take care of the wedding yourself. Young people like different things from us old people. After all, with your current status, your wedding can't be too bad. Otherwise, you'll be laughed at." As for whether Chen Beibei could take it or not, she didn't care. Her son was muddle-headed, but she couldn't be muddle-headed. She couldn't control whether they got married or not. She could only hold on to her son's money so that he wouldn't be cheated by the Chen family. By the way, when the child is born in the future, if you don't have time to take care of him, you can leave him with me. I'm free anyway. Luo Yicheng was delighted. Did his mother accept Beibei? Mother Luo thought that the child was the blood of the Luo family. She couldn't be led astray by Chen Beibei. When the time came, he would collude with the Chen family to cheat her son of his money. If that was the case, it was better to keep him by her side and teach him well. He definitely couldn't become a tool used by Chen Beibei. Looking at that woman who only liked to be entangled in love, he was afraid that she would not be able to take good care of the child. Xiao Guo was gone. She was no longer her good daughter-in-law. She was such a good person. She was just not blessed. Luo Yicheng excitedly returned to her home in Chen Beibei and passed on her mother's message. Chen Beibei was happy to hear that Mother Luo was willing to help her take care of her child. She thought that Mother Luo had accepted her. She did not intend to be a stay-at-home mother. In the past few months of pregnancy, she had been very uneasy. She had already made up her mind to start working after she gave birth to the child. "Yicheng, I want to start working after the child is born. Now that Mom is helping me, I can divert my attention to my career. I'll go to your company. What do you think?" Luo Yicheng nodded. He can go. With Beibei's ability, he'll definitely be promoted very quickly. He's going to be promoted. Chen Beibei was a little puzzled. Luo Yicheng replied, "This is a rule set by all the shareholders of the company. All the members of the company can recommend people they know to the company, even if it's me, the manager. However, everyone has to be tested before they can go to a position that they are qualified for." Actually, this plan was proposed by Xiao Guo. Because there were more people in Luo village who joined the company, this rule was set in order to balance out the others. Now, everyone was very happy. Everyone had a chance to recommend capable people. The company would not lose anything, and the members of the company did not have any objections. Peak. Chapter 11:18. You mean that we have to start from the bottom, right? Yes, Beibei. I believe you can do it. Enacom. Chen Beibei nodded. Okay, then let's start from the bottom. Otherwise, people will say that I always rely on you. Yicheng, don't worry. I won't embarrass you. She had graduated from a prestigious university and had worked for so many years. How could she not be qualified for a position in the company? Luo Yicheng was going to have her wedding with Chen Beibei, so she went to meet the Chen family. Niu Jinlan looked at Chen Beibei's big belly and finally compromised. She pulled Chen Beibei to talk about the betrothal gifts. Just as she said one word, Chen Beibei's expression changed. "Mom, I advise you not to mention this again. Can't I at least show my sincerity? I don't want much. We're getting married, so I have to show my sincerity." Luo Yicheng is not poor. And Luo Yicheng heard Niu Jinlan's muttering and was about to say that she still had to give the betrothal gifts. However, Chen Beibei said, "Mom, have you forgotten what happened last time? Yicheng and I are already married. Isn't it just a wedding? Yicheng is still supporting me now. Don't go overboard." Okay. Whatever. Niu Jinlan didn't want much betrothal gifts. 1 or 200,000 would be enough. No matter what, they were getting married. Chen Beibei was also her daughter. If she didn't want anything and just married him, She didn't know what he would think. Cheng has my name on that house, Chen Beibei said softly. Niu Jinlan relaxed when she heard this. If that was the case, her Beibei really had Luo Yicheng's heart firmly in his grasp. Niu Jinlan's heart skipped a beat. She didn't insist on the betrothal gifts anymore. As long as her Beibei went to the Luo family in the future and became the head of the Luo family, the betrothal gifts were indeed nothing. Luo Yicheng's heart was with Beibei. Then everything that Luo Yicheng had belonged to her Beibei. In this way, Luo Yicheng and Qian Beibei held their wedding ceremony. Because Luo Yicheng's current status was not low, many people came. This was indeed an era where people laughed at the poor but not at the prostitutes. Moreover, Miss Tang did not withdraw her investment, nor did she fall out with Luo Yicheng. There was no reason for them not to come. When Miss Tang went to travel around the world, she even told them that she had a share in that company. She hoped that everyone would do what they were supposed to do. Moreover, the company's prospects were really good, and the cooperation would not end because of Luo Yicheng's divorce. Previously, he had only considered it because he was afraid of the pressure from the family Tang incident. Now that the family Tang group was not doing anything, they could just pretend that they did not know anything. Of course, in private, they still despised Luo Yicheng and Qian Beibei. Especially the rich wives in the circle, what they hated the most was for mistresses to get to the top and have children. When Qian Beibei attended all kinds of gatherings, she was always the one who was ignored and ridiculed. Over time, she did not attend any gatherings with Luo Yicheng. When Luo Yicheng saw that she was unwilling to go, he could only bring his mother and elder sister along when he attended. Of course, this was a story for later. After the wedding, Qian Beibei proposed to move into the villa. Luo Yicheng had already forgotten that this villa actually belonged to Tang Guo, so she readily agreed. Seeing that Qian Beibei was about to give birth, Mother Luo did not argue and let her move in. On the first day of moving in, Luo Yicheng thought about the housekeeper and mentioned to Qian Beibei, "Mom has always been in charge of our family. Now that you are pregnant and about to give birth, you still need Mom to take care of you. Beibei, do you mind this?" "Of course not. Cheng, what do you take me for? The peak?" Chapter 11:19. I just want to be with you. I don't care about these worldly possessions. Enacom, that's good. I know that Beibei cares about our relationship the most. Otherwise, you wouldn't have been with me for so long. When we first started, I was still a poor boy. Cheng, it's good that you know. As long as I'm with you, I'm very happy. I don't care about anything else. Back then, it was because my mother loved money that caused us to separate. In the future, let's not hurt our relationship because of this. After the two of them talked to each other, they hugged each other and fell asleep. Mother Luo didn't treat Qian Beibei unfairly. She gave her what she needed to eat and what she needed to use. Qian Beibei thought that Mother Luo had accepted her, so she called her mother happily. Sister Luo had also come, but she only greeted her coldly. They weren't familiar with each other, so she didn't ask for anything. She and Sister Luo, a woman from the countryside, didn't have much in common. Even if Sister Luo's man became rich, she still couldn't change her background and habits. "Mom, why did you let her live here?" Sister Luo's face was full of dissatisfaction. Xiao Guo brought them into the upper class, and also brought them to make investments and help them enroll in classes. It was too unkind of her to do this. This house still belongs to Xiao Guo. She was just short of saying that Qian Beibei didn't have the right to live here. Xiao Guo doesn't care, but we can't do this. Don't worry, Mom knows. When Xiao Guo comes back, I'll ask Cheng to give Xiao Guo the money for the villa. In the end, we're the ones who let her down. I've been a good person all my life. I really didn't expect such a thing to happen to my family. Sister Luo sighed. Alright, this time, I'm afraid Xiao Guo won't come to us. It's better that she doesn't come here. Xiao Guo should know about Cheng and Qian Beibei. Mother Luo frowned. She's a smart girl. She just doesn't say it out loud. She has already done everything she can for us. Otherwise, she could have casually withdrawn her investment and made Cheng go bankrupt. Yeah, Xiao Guo is such a nice person. Big sister Luo said. Should she be glad that they still had business dealings with each other? Xiao Guo's personality was also good, so they would not become enemies. Not long after, Qian Beibei gave birth to a son. She chose to give birth naturally because she wanted to go to work earlier so that she could see Luo Yicheng every day. After the confinement, she threw the child to Mrs. Luo. Mrs. Luo didn't say anything. She would take good care of her child while attending the party. Tang Guo returned a few years later. She and Ji Yuyi spent 3 years traveling around the world. They had been to both fun places and dangerous places. The family Tang people had basically accepted the two of them. At every new place, they would take a set of wedding photos. Previously, only the family Tang people could see Tang Guo's WeChat moments. Ji Yuyi's WeChat moments were also only seen by the people in his studio. When they took their first set of wedding photos, they announced it to everyone in their WeChat moments. Now, everyone knew that Tang Guo and miser Ji Yu were together. They all wondered if there was something wrong with this girl's brain. How could she find such a stingy man? Luo Yicheng also thought the same when he saw the photos. There was some pain in his eyes. He thought that Tang Guo had given up on herself and even called her to ask about it. Peak. Chapter 11:20. Of course, it didn't get through. Tang Guo's phone number had already been changed. Enacom after returning, Tang Guo and Ji Yuyi prepared to get married. Ji Yuyi came to the door with a thick stack of documents in his hands. Before the family members could ask, he pushed these documents to them. After the family members finished reading, they were extremely shocked. Tang Ming and Tang Feng looked at Ji Yuyi with an expression that said, "Is this guy crazy?" He actually transferred all the assets and shares under his name to their sister's name. How much courage did he need to do this? They wouldn't have known if they didn't see it. This guy really knew how to make money. He had shops and real estate in many cities in the country. He even had several villas overseas and even wineries. This was not an ordinary amount of money. How many people had he stolen from? But now, it was all their sisters. Mrs. Tang and Mr. Tang looked at each other and said, "Little Ji Yu, we've seen your relationship with Guo Guo all these years. Actually, you don't have to do this." Their family did not lack money, although the things here would tempt anyone. You two like each other and are very important to each other. As long as you love and respect each other in the future and treat Xiao Guo well, it's fine. I believe in your character. Mr. Tang said, "Moreover, our family's daughter doesn't care about these things. We can afford to raise her. We've already seen your sincerity. But I want to give it to you." Ji Yuyi said, "Before I met Xiao Guo, my only interest was to make money. Maybe it was because I was afraid of being poor when I was young. But when I made money, I didn't know how to spend it. In the end, I could only make more money. Now that I have Xiao Guo, I finally know how to spend it. That is, I give all my money to Xiao Guo to spend. As long as she's happy, I'm happy." Tang Ming and Tang Feng looked at each other. Oh my god, this stingy Ji Yu was clearly a baby Ji Yu, a baby. The kind that only knew how to make money and not spend it. "Dad, Mom, stop trying to persuade me. You don't want it, but I do." Tang Guo placed all the documents in front of her. "From now on, everything that lawyer Ji Yu owns belongs to me. He belongs to me." Ji Yuyi's face was filled with a blissful smile. He had been waiting for these words for a long time. Yes, everything he had was Guo Guo's, and he was also Guo Guo's. Holding a wedding definitely required time to prepare. Before this, elder sister Luo contacted Tang Guo. "Xiao Guo, make some time to come over. That villa was originally under your name. Mom told me about it. Let's see if you want the villa or if we'll give you the money for the villa and transfer it to Mom. You can stay if you like," Tang Guo said. "How can that be? Xiao Guo, come over. Many things are different now. We all feel sorry for you. If we don't solve this problem, we won't feel at ease." Tang Guo replied, "All right then, I'll come over tomorrow. I haven't seen you guys in so many years. Is Auntie Luo doing well?" "She's doing fine. She's in good health, but she misses you a little. The next day, Tangguo went to the villa. Mother Luo pulled her aside and chatted a lot. She also asked about Jiu Yi. Jiu Yi is a good person. We've been traveling all these years. We're getting married soon. Auntie Luo, you don't have to worry. He even transferred all his assets to me. He loves money so much. It's enough to prove his sincerity. I also know how it feels to be loved. Mother Luo and elder sister Luo's hearts ached when they heard this. They didn't have any prejudice against Jiu Yi. He was just better than Luo Yicheng, so what could they do? Peak. Chapter 11:21. As they talked about the villa, Tangguo said, Auntie Luo, just do what you can. Since we're acquaintances, just give me 80%. Enacom no, in the end, we should make it up to you. At this moment, Qian Beibei returned to the villa and saw Mother Luo holding Tangguo's hand intimately. His expression changed. Miss Tang, why are you here? He almost asked, why are you at my house? Sister Luo's temper was more explosive. Why can't Xiaoguo come here? This villa belongs to Xiaoguo. Qian Beibei thought that Sister Luo was angry and couldn't help but say, Miss Tang divorced Cheng a long time ago and is about to get married. How can this villa belong to her? Sister, I know you don't like me, but you can't say such things to anger me, right? Ha ha. Sister Luo sneered and told her about the ownership of this villa and the conditions of Luo Yicheng's divorce. Finally, she said that she wanted to buy this villa from Tangguo. After all, Mother Luo was used to living in this place and they were not short of money now. Moreover, they could make it up to Tangguo. If it weren't for Qian Beibei moving in, they wouldn't have done this. With this villa, Xiaoguo might come back to live. When Qian Beibei heard that the villa he had lived in for several years and had always thought was his own, he almost died of anger. It actually belonged to Tangguo and only her. In addition, Sister Luo said that Luo Yicheng divorced and gave him 60% of the assets under his name. He didn't get a single cent from Tangguo's side, so he felt a little uncomfortable. Especially what happened just now, it was really a slap in the face. Come on, Xiaoguo, let's get someone to evaluate this villa. After that, Auntie will transfer the money to you and will transfer the ownership. Okay. Just transfer it to my name. Mother Luo added, which made Qian Beibei's face turn red. The matter was settled very quickly. Qian Beibei could only look on helplessly as the money was transferred to Tangguo. Then, he saw Mrs. Luo put away the real estate certificate. She saw a child playing at the side and wanted to go over and hug him. The child was not even 3 years old. After Qian Beibei hugged him for a while, he started crying. Qian Beibei tried to coax him, but it was useless. In the end, she was even peed all over. Why are you so naughty? You actually peed on me? How dirty. Qian Beibei could not help but abort the child. When Mrs. Luo came downstairs, she hurriedly shooed Qian Beibei away. Qian Beibei was peed all over. He felt disgusted and quickly went to wash himself. These 2 days, she had been disgusted to death. After today, she didn't want to take care of children even more. In the past few years, she had worked in the company. She had thought that with her ability, she would definitely be promoted quickly. However, the company's assessment was too strict. She did not want to lose face, so she could only grit her teeth and work hard. Now, there was finally some improvement. However, she was as tired as a dog every day. She did not want to complain to Luo Yicheng. The people in the company did not seem to be very friendly to her. She felt that everyone was very cold to her. When she returned to Luo village, the villagers did not speak much when they saw her. After she left, they laughed and talked about something. This time, Mrs. Luo quietly gave Tangguo such a large sum of money. That night, she could not help but tell Luo Yicheng about it. Mom, you did the right thing. If you didn't mention this, I would have almost forgotten. After all, we have let Xiaoguo down. We should compensate her. Peak. Chapter 11:22. When Qian Beibei heard this, he almost died from anger. Bebe, you don't mind, right? I love you. The villa belongs to Xiao Guo. It's only right that I give her some money. Bebe took a deep breath. Cheng, how much do we have? It's all with Mom. Don't worry, Mom won't spend it recklessly. Old Madam has a lot of money herself. Old Madam had good taste. She was always right when it came to buying stocks. Bebe thought about what he had heard in the company. Most of the company's shares were in Tang Guo's hands. Cheng had worked so hard to earn so much money, but it all went into Tang Guo's pocket. He felt a little indignant. Cheng, have you ever thought of starting a company on your own? Bebe, why are you talking about this? I'm the one who started this company. But you only have a few % of the shares. It's already a lot. Other than the family Tang, I'm the biggest shareholder of this company. Bebe said, but you worked so hard to do so much, and in the end, most of it was earned by others. I feel unfair for you. Bebe, it's fine as long as we have enough money. If it weren't for Xiao Guo's support, this company wouldn't be where it is today. Bebe, our relationship has already hurt Xiao Guo. I won't leave this company for the rest of my life. I promised Xiao Guo that I would work hard to run the company. She has never received my love. The only thing I can do is to make the company better. Luo Yicheng's eyes flashed with determination. Bebe, you'll definitely support me, right? Of course. Bebe lowered his eyes. What else could he say? Tang Guo and Ji Yuyi held their wedding. Everyone who knew them came, including Luo Yicheng, Bebe, Mother Luo, and Sister Luo. Bebe had not attended any gatherings for many years because he had been ridiculed by others when he went to one a few years ago. This time, she suddenly realized that she was out of place standing beside Luo Yicheng. Even big sister Luo and Mother Luo were dressed in rich clothes, as if they were really from this circle. She looked at everything around her and felt as if countless people were mocking her. She wanted nothing more than to crawl into a hole in the ground. No one came over to greet her. Those who came over all greeted Luo Yicheng, Mother Luo, and Big Sister Luo. Sister Luo's husband's pig farm was already famous throughout the country. It was getting bigger and bigger, and it was closely related to the Tang family. Bebe suddenly realized that many people she knew were working with the family Tang and Tang Guo. Tang Guo seemed to have invested in many companies. Then, he looked at Tang Guo in her wedding dress. She looked really young. That man named Ji Yuyi had a bad reputation, but she heard that he had transferred all his assets to Tang Guo's name. She suddenly realized that after being married to Luo Yicheng for so many years, Mother Luo would give her pocket money. She also had a salary. Mother Luo would arrange for the gowns and jewelry that she should wear every year. But until now, she still did not know how many assets her family had. After Tang Guo and Ji Yuyi got married, they went out to travel again. Her investments were accurate, and now she only needed to lie down and count the money. Ji Yuyi's subordinates were also trained, and there was basically no need for him to appear. Since then, the two of them began to live a carefree life. And Bebe's troublesome days had just begun. Niu Jinlan asked her for money. Bebe, the family is having some cash flow problems recently. Cheng has opened such a big company. You should be able to afford it, right? Peak. Chapter 11:23. Bebe wanted to say that she couldn't afford it. Mother Luo gave her a lot of pocket money every month. She also had a salary, but it was basically moonlight. Looking at Niu Jinlan and thinking of her stubbornness, she had no choice but to agree. After returning home, she sold all the jewelry that she rarely wore in exchange for money to give Niu Jinlan a call. Mother Luo found out about the jewelry not long after it was sold. See? Fortunately, I was smart enough to sell such expensive jewelry. Niu Jinlan took the money and happily bought a house for her son. Mom, you have foresight. Brother's taste is really bad. Xiao Guo is so good. She attracts money all over. Unlike this, who is a wastrel and takes everything out, Sister Luo said. Niu Jinlan's appetite was getting bigger and bigger. Bebe suddenly found that almost everything that she could sell was sold out. And since she had promised Nyo Jinlan, she could only do it. She had no choice but to ask Luo Yicheng for it. It's my mom. It seems that she has a cash flow problem. I can't not help, right? Bebe, you don't have to explain. I'll transfer it to you. Luo Yicheng didn't spend much money. Mother Luo prepared everything for her. Every time, a large portion of the money was left behind. After Chen Beibei gave the money to Nyo Jinlan, she looked at the empty jewelry box and remembered that Ji Yuyi had transferred all his assets to Tangguo. She felt a little indignant. Then she remembered that Luo Yicheng had also transferred the money to her so easily. Thus, she decided to ask Luo Yicheng for some money from time to time. Once or twice was fine, but after a few times, Luo Yicheng couldn't help but ask. Yicheng, I just want to see how my man feels when he gives me money. And Luo Yicheng didn't suspect anything. I see. Then if you want to buy anything in the future, ask me for it. Chen Beibei underestimated Nyo Jinlan's appetite and often complained to her about being poor. Now that Luo Yicheng wanted to give her money, she also spent it lavishly. Firstly, it was to satisfy her vanity. Secondly, she didn't want to embarrass herself. Nyo Jinlan thought that Chen Beibei had control over the finances, so she asked for money to subsidize Chen Chengcheng. Mother Luo looked on coldly. As long as there was any movement on Chen Chengcheng's side, she would know. The person she got to keep an eye on was a young lad from Ji Yuyi Studio. He was more reliable. Finally, there was a very important gathering that Chen Beibei and Luo Yicheng had to attend. She looked at the empty jewelry box and the empty clothes rack and finally panicked. The gown and accessories had only been prepared this year, but because of Nyo Jinlan, she had sold them all. She couldn't to them now. Mother Luo pointed this out in front of Luo Yicheng. Luo Yicheng suspected Chen Beibei for the first time and asked her where the money and things had gone. Chen Beibei couldn't say. Mother Luo finally told Luo Yicheng the truth, which almost angered her to death. Chen Beibei had actually used all that money to subsidize her maternal family. Adding it all up, it was more than 10 million yuan. Chen Beibei knew that Luo Yicheng had a grudge against the Chen family. Beibei, why did you do that? I can't not help them, right? Chen Beibei felt wronged. Luo Yicheng said, are they starving to death? Your brother already has several houses under his name. You were the one who moved them over. In the end, this matter was left unsettled. But Luo Yicheng didn't like Chen Beibei. But Nyo Jinlan didn't stop. She was still asking Chen Beibei for money. Chen Beibei couldn't pay, so she cried in front of Chen Beibei. At the peak. Chapter 1124. She said that Chen Beibei was unfilial. She was a rich wife, but she couldn't take out any money to help her family. Enacom Chen Beibei didn't dare to say that she was poor and couldn't take out the money. She couldn't even pretend to be rich. Inadvertently, she saw an online loan. She borrowed a large sum of money from the internet and gave it to Nyo Jinlan, saying that this was the last time. She planned to pay back the money slowly, but she didn't expect that the online loan company would soon call to ask for the debt. She didn't have the money to pay back, so she called Luo Yicheng's company. At that time, the employees in the company looked at her strangely. When Luo Yicheng heard that Chen Beibei had lent a few million yuan to Nyo Jinlan online, she was so angry that she almost fainted. Now, with the interest, it was tens of millions. Call the police, Mother Luo finally said. Let's get back the money that the Chen family got from Chen Beibei first. We'll talk about the rest later. Chen Beibei looked at Luo Yicheng's disappointed face. Her face was pale, and the corners of her lips moved, but she didn't say anything in the end. Nyo Jinlan was a shameless person, but Mother Luo wasn't someone to be trifled with. She found the transfer records and confronted Chen Beibei, asking her whether the money was lent to Nyo Jinlan or given to Nyo Jinlan. Chen Beibei was stared at by Luo Yicheng. She lowered her head and said, I borrowed it. She knew her mother's character very well. Now that Yicheng was disappointed in her, she couldn't make any more mistakes. After the money was recovered, The online loan company only paid back the principal and the interest due to the involvement of the police. But the online loan company was closed down in the end. Chen Beibei and Luo Yicheng couldn't go back to the past. Luo Yicheng put all her efforts into the company. Chen Beibei was afraid that Luo Yicheng would leave her behind, so she didn't care about her children and worked hard every day. But her mind wasn't here, and she didn't recharge in time. After a few years, she reached the end and couldn't improve anymore. She also wondered if Luo Yicheng would be seduced by the female secretary as he became more and more outstanding. She often went to see Luo Yicheng when she was free. Once Luo Yicheng scolded her, her eyes were filled with tears, and Luo Yicheng couldn't say anything. In the end, Luo Yicheng replaced all the secretaries with men, and Chen Beibei became less frequent. Unknowingly, the children of Chen Beibei and Luo Yicheng were already in their teens. This child had been taught well by Mrs. Luo. He was not close to Chen Beibei, who did not care about him. He could remember things since he was 2 years old. To this day, he still remembered the look of disgust in Chen Beibei's eyes. Later, when she heard about what Chen Beibei had done, she looked down on her mother and even felt that it was a disgrace. But because of Mother Luo's upbringing, he never showed it. As for Luo Yicheng's father, he was not close to him. The only people he was close to were Mrs. Luo and the eldest sister of the Luo family. Luo Yicheng's company had already become the #1 company in the country, and Tang Guo had become the richest person in the country. Chen Beibei's heart was filled with bitterness. She always remembered what Luo Yicheng had said to her. He had given her all the love, so he could only compensate Tang Guo with wealth. Now that she heard this sentence, Chen Beibei only felt that it was a little ridiculous. But she would not leave Luo Yicheng. She still loved Luo Yicheng. One day, Luo Yicheng would definitely give everything to her. She firmly believed. When Luo Yicheng's company reached the world rankings, Tang Guo's wealth also entered the world rankings, and he became a world-famous person. He was the first rich person to be ranked by investing in a company. Chen Beibei buried her head and did not look at these things. 30 years later, Mrs. Luo passed away. Chen Beibei felt that everything had come to an end. She did not expect that Mrs. Luo's will would state that all her assets would be inherited by her grandson. The Peak. Chapter 11:25. Even Luo Yicheng's shares were all under their son's name. She didn't even know when he had given it to her. Looking at the white-haired Luo Yicheng who was still working hard, she couldn't help but say, "Luo Yicheng." "Beibei." Chen Beibei cried. "Can you stop and look at me? Why are you working so hard? The person who owned the shares is dead. She donated all her shares. Luo Yicheng, you don't have to work so hard anymore." "No, I have to. After all, I promised her that I would work in this company as long as I'm alive. Even if he had to retire to the second line now. It's a pity that she didn't become the richest person in the world. I guess she's regretful too." At this moment, Chen Beibei suddenly realized that not only did she not get Luo Yicheng's money, she also didn't get Luo Yicheng's heart. Luo Yicheng's heart had long belonged to that woman since some time ago. However, he didn't realize it himself. "Luo Yicheng, do you love me?" Luo Yicheng paused and looked carefully at the white-haired Chen Beibei. She said, "Of course, Beibei. I gave you all my feelings. I love you." "Luo Yicheng, I love you too," Chen Beibei said with a smile. In fact, they didn't love each other anymore, right? True love. What was true love? If Luo Yicheng loved her, would he be unwilling to come back to accompany her even after working overtime for decades? If she loved Luo Yicheng, she wouldn't be thinking about when Luo Yicheng's mother would die every day and how to get more money from Luo Yicheng. In fact, they didn't love each other anymore. They maintained such a loving relationship because they didn't want to slap their own faces. Who would have thought that this deception would last for a lifetime? Under the light, Luo Yicheng smiled and was writing a proposal. Chen Beibei turned around and left. He had no intention to stay, nor did he ask Luo Yicheng if she was hungry or tired. If she loved him, She would definitely care about his health and ask him not to stay up late and work overtime. If he loved her, he would definitely stop her and ask her to wait. It was not safe to go home alone. Xiaoguo, in a few more years, I really won't be able to work anymore. I can't work in the company for the rest of my life. There's nothing I can do about it. I'm old and useless. You're leaving too early. If you wait a few more years, I'll definitely make more money for you. You might even be able to rank in the top 10 of the world's richest people. Luo Yicheng nagged as she wrote the proposal. Bei Bei is probably angry again. She's always like this. How many times have I told her that I've given all my love to her? Otherwise, I wouldn't have married her. You agreed to marry me without hesitation. There wasn't even a proper wedding, nor was there any blessings from your family. Everything was done on impulse. In order to protect my reputation, I agreed to it. You wasted 3 years on me. You even supported my career and took care of my family so well. You even made our Luo village rich. This company is my blood and sweat, and it's also your blood and sweat. I said that I would work hard for you and make the company the best. The only thing I can compensate you with is wealth. After all, I've given all my love to Bei Bei, but Bei Bei is still like a little girl. She always likes to be calculative. Xiaoguo, why are you so good? Sigh. Host, does Luo Yicheng like you? So what? I don't like him. I like the stingy one. Tang Guo chuckled. Let's go to the next world. I hope that he'll be more obedient in the next world. He already swore that he'll be more obedient in the next life. System, oh. Show off. Fastware, supporting female lead, calm down Clawbook Room 01D, Gu, Wu, excerpt new, time free 05, read 02, peak. Every time the Tang Jiao went out, the original host would also prepare all kinds of things for her. Over time, Tang Jiao was known by everyone in the Imperial City and was praised as the #1 beauty in the Imperial City. The people of Xinyu family's second Miss Tang had to line up far outside the Imperial City. When the Tang Jiao was traveling, she got to know Prince Jing, Shangguan Jing, and the Emperor, Shangguan Yi, who were also traveling. Her liveliness and talent attracted the two of them. Tang Jiao did not know the identity of the two and only regarded them as poetry friends. She never thought that that meeting would lead to the tragedy of her and her sister's life. After Shangguan Yi and Shangguan Jing returned to the Imperial City, they sent people to inquire about the identity of the Tang Jiao. They could see that the other party liked the Tang Jiao. Fupin Chinese Vertex. Chapter 1127. The two of them planned to make the Tang Jiao their woman first. In the end, Shangguan Yi, as the emperor, had the upper hand. He directly decreed a marriage. The Tang Jiao became his concubine and the family Tang's eldest daughter, the original Shangguan Jing, became Prince Jing's concubine. So what if Prince Jing was angry? Shangguan Yi was the emperor and he was just Prince Jing. He couldn't disobey the imperial edict, could he? He wanted to, but he was no match for Shangguan Yi. Besides, they were brothers. He didn't want their relationship to be broken because of a woman and be taken advantage of by despicable people. Shangguan Jing unwillingly married the original owner of the body. On their wedding night, just like when the Tangguo came over, he used the excuse that he had something to do and didn't sleep with her. The two of them started their life as husband and wife in name only. Shangguan Yi thought that since Shangguan Jing was not happy about it, he would let it go. Moreover, Shangguan Jing was still the same as before. He often went to the palace to play chess with him or went out with him to play. What was different was that Shangguan Yi would bring the Tang Jiao with him every time. The Tang Jiao couldn't accept that her poetry friends had become the emperor and the prince, and she had even become the emperor's concubine. But now that things had come to this, she couldn't resist and could only accept this identity. The emperor treated her well, so she accepted it. And she could go out to play often. There didn't seem to be much difference. The Tang Jiao and Shangguan Yi didn't expect that Shangguan Jing had been secretly looking for a strange person after he got married. He had never given up on getting the Tang Jiao back. After nearly a year of searching, he finally found a strange person who could change their memories. He spent a lot of money to invite this strange person back. He deliberately poisoned the original Shangguan Jing and told the news of the original Shangguan Jing's illness to the Tang Jiao. The Tang Jiao was worried about her sister and hurried out of the palace. Shangguan Jing took advantage of this time and asked the strange person to exchange their memories. After the original owner was detoxified, her memories would become Tang Jiao, and Tang Jiao's memories would become Tang Guo. In order to prevent the original owner from being discovered, he had eccentric alter Tang Guo's memory irrevocably. Once her memory was changed, the original owner would never be able to return to her original self. She would always think that she was the Tang Jiao. This way, his imperial brother, Shangguan Yi, wouldn't be suspicious. As for Tang Jiao, of course, he couldn't bear to do that. He only kept the memories that didn't belong to Tang Jiao for 10 years. He believed that 10 years would be enough. He never thought that Shangguan Yi really liked the Tang Jiao. When Tang Guo was sent back to the palace, he immediately recognized that she was not Tang Jiao. But no matter how he threatened her, the original owner said that she was the Tang Jiao. He sent people to Prince Jing's residence to inquire and found that the Tang Jiao only admitted that she was Tang Guo. Shangguan Yi guessed that this matter should have been done by Shangguan Jing. Shangguan Jing finally got the woman he loved. How could he let her go? He said that as long as Shangguan Yi let his consort admit that she was the Tang Jiao, he wouldn't stop him. Shangguan Yi left in anger. The two brothers had a gap and often argued in the imperial court. Shangguan Yi didn't like the Tang Guo. Because they had the same face, he lost the woman he loved the most. He still resented the Tang Guo. Once, when envoys from other countries came to visit Nanshu, the king of one of the countries said to him, "I have long heard that Nanshu has the most beautiful woman. I wonder if the emperor of Nanshu would like to invite her to meet him?" Chapter 11:28. For people you don't like, it's okay to show them. Shangguan Yi gladly agreed and asked people to dress up the original owner and invite her out. The king of that country was very beautiful and said on the spot that he was willing to use all the treasures he brought this time to exchange for this beauty. In this king's country, beauties can be exchanged with treasures, even if it's their concubines. As long as it's not the main wife, they can exchange at will and think that there's nothing wrong with this. If this woman is Shangguan Yi's beloved, he certainly won't be willing and will even be angry. Unfortunately, this person is not his beloved woman and is even the woman that he takes his anger out on. If this woman doesn't look like his Jiao won't be exchanged. So, he agreed at that time. Although many people opposed, he still said, "She's just a concubine with a low status. Why can't we exchange?" Minister Tang Yangshan is very angry, but unfortunately, the imperial power is supreme and he can't refute it. He can only watch as his daughter is taken away by the king. After the original owner was taken to that country, she died of illness 10 years later. Not long after the original owner died of illness, the Tang Jiao's memory finally recovered. She remembers everything that happened during that time. Thinking of what happened to her sister, she hates these two men to death. She already had 2 children with Shangguan Jing. Not long after she recovered her memory, Shangguan Yi found out. She didn't have the ability to resist and was taken into the palace. She planned to assassinate Shangguan Yi when he wasn't paying attention and avenge her sister. But Shangguan Yi is the emperor. How can it be so easy to assassinate him? Because he likes her too much, even if she did something disgraceful, Shangguan Yi still doesn't mind. On the other side, Shangguan Jing is thinking about how to save her. She is like duckweed, floating with the wind and the water. Unknowingly, the spirit in her eyes have disappeared. This is a male-dominated society. She wants to do many things and take revenge, but she is powerless. In this lifetime, she had been entangled with these 2 men. Even until her death, these 2 men were still fighting over her as if they had a grudge against each other. These 2 men had never considered whether she was willing or not. They had never listened to her opinion. Because of this, she became known as a demoness who brought disaster to the country and was cursed by the people of the world. Because of her, her children could not hold their heads high and eventually died of depression. So it's a tragedy. After reading the plot of this world, Tangwa said, as expected, scumbags are really annoying. But the original owner of this body is really a well-behaved lady, Tangwa sneered. Chapter 11:29. Every frown, every smile, and even the way she walked were exactly the same. The host's acting skills had improved again. "Host, what's the trick this time?" he asked weakly. "This time, it's called the most beautiful loss. I want Shangguan Jing to get used to me. I want to deeply embed my various habits and influence on him into his life. When he sends me away one day, he will find that everything is wrong. Although it's very old-fashioned, all bitches fall for it. System, haha, the essence. Isn't this what bitches fall for? What about the Tang Jiao?" Tangwa paused for a moment. "I'll ask brother Kai Xiao in the group for a lifelike puppet. I'll send a puppet to Shangguan Jing and let him hug it for the rest of his life. As for the Tang Jiao's people, send them away. This girl has a simple personality. She won't be able to play with these two men. In this society where the imperial power is dominant, she will only be poisoned by them. Since she likes to live a free life, we'll just fulfill her wish. Leave this to me. I'll play with them slowly." Tangwa laughed softly. The system trembled. Play slowly. Those two people were going to be unlucky. It estimated that in less than 2 years, those two people would be spoiled. Next, the system saw Tangwa cooking with its own eyes. My dear host is serious about this. She's actually going all out to cook. After preparing a few side dishes, Tangwa did not personally send them to Shangguan Jing. Instead, she instructed the servants to place them on Shangguan Jing's table at lunchtime. When Shangguan Jing saw that the dishes today were a little different, he did not ask much. He only thought that the chef had come up with a new dish. When he took the first bite, he was a little surprised. This shouldn't be the original chef, right? Could it be a new chef? He ate 2 more mouthfuls, and his depressed mood from not being able to marry the woman he loved was swept away. He laughed and said, "Reward the chef who cooked today." The servants looked at each other, not knowing what to say. The steward smiled and said, "Yes, Your Highness." After interacting with the new princess consort just now, the steward felt that this princess consort was indeed the daughter of a noble family. She was very reliable in everything she did. She actually cooked for their prince and even told him not to tell the prince that she made it. The butler was Shangguan Jing's confidant, so he naturally knew why Shangguan Jing was in a bad mood. Since the new princess consort didn't rely on delicious food to gain favor, he actually admired her. At this time, if she told His Highness that it was the new princess who did it, His Highness would definitely be furious. At that time, the new princess would not be able to make a comeback. He thought that the new princess consort was really good and respected him very much. Chapter 11:30. Unknowingly, Tangwa had changed Shangguan Jing's clothes from head to toe. The scary thing was that this woman had left a small mark on her clothes, shoes, and socks. The small mark was in a very inconspicuous place, but once it was seen, it was a little scary. His great host was really a scheming girl. In addition to helping Shangguan Jing prepare everything he needed, Tangwa practiced calligraphy and painted in the room. The talent of the original owner of the body was not worse than that of Tang Jiao. She even vaguely felt that she was better. However, the original owner of the body did not like to show off. In this way, she lived in Prince Jing's mansion peacefully for half a year. Since the day of their wedding, she almost never met Shangguan Jing. Occasionally, when they met, she would leave her luggage obediently. Shangguan Jing glanced at her casually and left. The steward felt that something was wrong. The new princess was so nice, but the prince did not seem to notice. Seeing that Shangguan Jing was in a good mood today, He remembered that Tang Guo would be painting and practicing calligraphy in the garden at this time. His heart skipped a beat, and he said, "Your Highness, the weather seems to be good. The flowers in the garden have bloomed. It's boring to stay in the house all the time. Do you want to go to the garden to have a look?" The steward glanced at the painting on the desk. The ink had not dried yet. The person in the painting had a pair of lively eyes. She looked like the new princess, but this woman was not the new princess. She was the new princess's younger sister, the current concubine Jiao of the emperor. "Then let's go and have a look." Shang Guanjing put down the brush, stood up, tidied his robe, and walked out. He asked casually, "Have you found the person I asked you to find?" "Not yet. Those masters come and go without a trace. It's not that easy." Seeing that Shang Guanjing's expression was not good, the steward hurriedly said, "Although we haven't found the person, we have the news. As long as we follow them, we will find the person sooner or later. Then send more people. We must invite the master back." Shang Guanjing had also unintentionally heard that there was an expert who could exchange the memories of the two of them. When he heard this, he had an idea. He had to use this method to get his beloved Jiao back. Imperial brother has so many concubines in his harem that he needs to dote on, so he must not be able to discover the secret behind it. Once the matter was settled, he and Jiao would be together forever. As for the eldest daughter of the minister's mansion, he had never touched her. She looked exactly like Jiao, and he would have memories of her in the future. If he didn't say anything, who would know the truth? Walking around the garden with the steward, Shang Guanjing found a beauty who was painting among the flowers. Looking at the beauty's side profile, he subconsciously called out, "Jiao." Then, he quickly chased after Tang Guo, grabbed her wrist, and was about to pull her into his arms. The woman in front of him actually panicked for a moment. She hurriedly broke free from his hand and respectfully bowed, "This concubine greets your highness." Her panic only lasted for a moment, and she soon recovered her gentle and dignified appearance. It was because of her gentleness and dignified that Shang Guanjing's joy was washed away. "So it's the princess." "Yes, your highness." The excitement in Shang Guanjing's eyes had dissipated. Since he had come, there was no reason to leave immediately. This was his mansion, his garden. Why should he avoid it? This woman had been in the mansion for half a year, but she didn't always come to him. It seemed that she was a sensible person. Fupin Chinese Vertex. Chapter 1131. Then there was no need for him to hide. He would just be obedient and take care of it for the time being. "What are you doing here, princess?" "Your highness, I'm painting here." "Painting?" Shang Guanjing was a little surprised. Wasn't this miss of the minister's mansion famous for embroidery? She actually knew how to paint. With curiosity and disdain in his heart, he took a step forward. "Then this prince wants to see what the princess consort has drawn." After he finished speaking, he looked at the painting and didn't move his eyes away for a long time. The steward also looked over. When he saw the scene in the painting, he was also stunned. "I thought that princess should be painting in the garden. I didn't expect that princess should be painting a kite and clouds." The clouds were in the sky, the kite was in the sky, and the flowers were at the bottom, which could only be used as decoration. This painting gave people the feeling that it was so free and ethereal, which was completely out of place with the woman in front of him. He felt that the person who could draw such a painting should not be her. But the ink on the painting was not dry. When he came, she was painting. These could not be faked. "Princess, you've painted well." "Your highness, you flatter me." Shang Guanjing saw the chessboard on the side and asked, "Princess, do you know how to play chess?" "A little." Shang Guanjing was a little interested. "Then play 2 games with me." "Yes." Tang Guo put down the brush with a faint smile on her lips. She followed Shang Guanjing to the chessboard and sat down. Shang Guanjing looked at her well-behaved appearance and sneered. In fact, he didn't like people who were too well-behaved and bound themselves to rules. Even if she painted a different painting, it didn't mean that he would treat her differently. Shang Guanjing thought that Tang Guo really knew a little when she said that she knew a little. He didn't expect that she knew a little after playing for an hour, and he almost lost a little. This time, he had to look at his princess in a new light. Princess, you're very good at chess. I didn't expect you to be a hidden person. Your Highness, you flatter me. Thank you for letting me win. Should I? Shang Guanjing couldn't help laughing. He had never given in to her. He wasn't an idiot. She was the one who went easy on him, and her technique was very good. If he hadn't been careful, he wouldn't have noticed. He was curious about this princess consort. System, curious? That means you're not far from the end of the game. If he realized his mistake and turned back, perhaps he could still be saved. If he refused to realize his error, he would be consigned to eternal damnation. Again. Shang Guanjing was really interested in it. Tang Guo played chess with Shang Guanjing for the whole afternoon. She was so good at chess that Shang Guanjing forgot everything. Even though it was a draw every time, he could feel that his opponent's strength had not been fully displayed. Seeing that the sky was darkening, he couldn't make her use her full strength. He had to admit that his consort wasn't simple. Your Highness, do you want to eat dinner? It's getting dark. Shang Guanjing looked up and saw the setting sun. He glanced at the woman who had been sitting opposite him and said, "Let's go to your place." He wasn't interested in this woman, but he was curious about what else she could do. System, isn't that the same? He was curious and became interested. When they were eating, Shang Guanjing frowned. Tang Guo hurriedly asked with concern, "What's wrong, Your Highness? Is there something wrong with your taste?" Fupin Chinese Vertex. Chapter 1132. Why does it taste different from before? He turned back to look at the steward. Did any of the cooks ask for leave? The steward found it funny. He secretly glanced at Tang Guo before saying, "No cooks asked for leave, Your Highness." Then why does it taste different? Shang Guanjing asked in confusion. This prince remembers that it tasted normal at noon. The dish he just ate was far worse than what he ate in the past 6 months. The steward said, "Your Highness, this. Seeing that the steward seemed to have something he couldn't say, Shang Guanjing was a little displeased. "Tell me, what's going on?" "Your Highness, don't blame the steward. Because this concubine didn't have time to cook in the afternoon, I had to ask the cooks to cook some of your favorite dishes. It's this concubine's fault." Tang Guo stood up and smiled. "If Your Highness can wait, this concubine will immediately cook a few dishes and bring them up." Without waiting for Shang Guanjing to speak, she turned and went to the kitchen with her maidservant. Shang Guanjing was stunned for a moment and didn't come back to his senses for a while. When Tang Guo's figure disappeared, he grabbed the steward and said with a heavy expression, "What's going on? Why don't you explain to this prince?" The steward felt a little bitter. He could only tell him that the princess consort went into the kitchen to cook for Shang Guanjing on the second day after she entered the fu. Of course, he also said that the princess consort didn't mean to ask for favor. It was just that her mother taught her that a married woman should follow her husband. She should prepare food for her husband. If the princess consort really wanted to ask for favor, she wouldn't have waited for half a year. "Today, I was playing chess with Your Highness, so I didn't have time to prepare. Your Highness, don't blame the princess consort. She has been dutiful for the past 6 months and has never crossed the line." Shang Guanjing frowned. This prince knows. He wasn't a fool. If this princess consort really wanted to seduce him, he would have done it long ago. There were countless opportunities today. But the other party didn't. When they talked about painting, she talked about painting. When they played chess, she played seriously. Her eyes didn't even wander. There was no doubt that the eldest miss of the minister's manor was a real lady from a noble family. The housekeeper breathed a sigh of relief. Wang Fei was so good. If she was misunderstood because of this matter, it would be unjust. Shang Guanjing still felt that something was wrong and said, "Are you still hiding something from me?" The steward didn't dare to hide anything and hurriedly said, "In addition to His Highness's daily meals, His Highness's shoes, socks, clothes, and sachets were all made by Her Highness. After that, he looked at Shangguan Jing eagerly, and His Highness's daily snacks were also made by Her Highness. Later on, the new tea that was purchased in the Fu was also personally selected by the Wangfei. Anything else? Shangguan Jing rubbed his eyebrows. This princess was really good at housekeeping. He had heard that many madams of the mansions had taken a fancy to her. Anyway, His Highness's brush, ink, paper, and inkstone were all prepared by Her Highness herself. The things that His Highness often needed to buy were all prepared by Her Highness. Sitting there, Shangguan Jing touched his cuffs. No wonder he felt that in the past 6 months, whether it was his inner clothes or his outer clothes, they were extremely comfortable. Moreover, the embroidery on the clothes was very unique. He touched the sachet at his waist and was a little lost in thought. Did she say anything when she prepared these? Her Highness didn't say anything, the steward replied. Come with me to the kitchen to have a look. Shangguan Jing felt that that woman was very strange. How could there be such a good person? It was obvious that he had neglected her. They had never been together at all, but she was still willing to prepare these things. Was there something wrong with her brain? Fupin Chinese Vertex. Chapter 1133. When he came to the kitchen, he saw the woman who had played a different game with him before. Looking at the familiar food on the plate and the fragrance coming from the plate, he forgot what he wanted to ask. Your Highness, why are you here? I just came to have a look. I didn't expect Your Highness to be so good at cooking. I learned it when I was young. Mother said that women should learn it. Shangguan Jing couldn't help asking, so you learned it? Yes. Tang Guo looked back and smiled. This smile was still perfect. It was not ostentatious or wanton. It was just faint, like the spring breeze, gently brushing past. When the dishes were ready, the servants brought them out. Tang Guo followed Shangguan Jing. He suddenly stopped, turned around, and stared into her eyes. Your Highness, I'm very curious. Why did you deliberately do this? Do you think that by doing this, you can make me like you more? These words could be said to be cold and heartless. System, of course, to play you to death. What else could it be? Because Your Highness is my husband. Tang Guo answered with half of her head buried. It's my duty to do this. As Your Highness's wife, I naturally have to prepare everything for Your Highness. That's all. Shangguan Jing didn't believe it. If there's no other purpose, don't you want to be favored by me? I just need to do my part. As for what Your Highness thinks, no one can force me. Shangguan Jing didn't see any flicker in her eyes. So, what she said was true. He turned and continued to walk to the dining room, chuckling. You're really a lady from a noble family. You can be called virtuous. But I don't like it. If you like it, then do it. This prince is quite fond of your culinary skills. If you want status and wealth, I can give it to you. As for the rest, don't think about it. In his heart, there was only Jiao Er. No one could replace her. He would send away this lady from a noble family sooner or later. Hearing the footsteps behind him, Shangguan Jing paused for a moment. He was very happy in his heart. Young ladies from noble families were also humans, and they would feel sad too. When he stepped into the dining room, he turned around and glanced at her. Her face was slightly pale. She wanted to say something, but subconsciously stopped. Forget it, there was no point in saying all this to a blockhead. No matter how sad she wouldn't go against his words. In her life, her husband was probably the only thing that mattered. Such a woman was really boring. How could he possibly like her? Let's eat. After dinner, Shangguan Jing glanced at Tang Guo, who stood up first, and said, I'm leaving now. After a pause, he continued, you have to be obedient. This prince will not treat you unfairly. But don't think about anything else. He didn't say anything else. Because he would send this woman away. He only hoped that during this period, she would be obedient and not provoke him. Yes, I understand. Looking at her well-behaved and honest appearance, without the slightest bit of agility, such a woman was really boring. His Jiao Er was still the best. Her every frown and smile could affect his mind. One day, he would take Jiao to the prince's mansion. When Shangguan Jing was about to rest, he suddenly found that his quilt was light and warm. It was different from before. He couldn't help but ask, "What's going on?" "Your Highness, this is a silk quilt. The princess consort prepared it for your highness." Fupin Chinese Vertex. Chapter 1134. Got it. You may leave now. Covering himself with the quilt, Shangguan Jing indeed felt that the silk quilt was extremely comfortable. It was light and warm and did not feel heavy at all. It was much better than the previous one. That woman scrupulously followed the rules and was dull, but she was good at this kind of thing. Before he went to bed, he thought that although that woman was a little boring, she was not without any redeeming qualities. Of course, she could not change his mind with this. If he did not like her, there was no point in doing anything. Seeing that she had done her best, he would not treat her badly while she was in Prince Jing's mansion. When the servant got up in the morning and put on Shangguan Jing's shoes and socks, he suddenly saw a small mark on the socks. What is this? It did not look ugly. On the contrary, the small mark added some liveliness to the pair of socks. He glanced at the edge of the shoes and saw that there was a similar mark. This mark looked like an exquisite totem. He looked at it carefully and realized that this totem was formed by the word Jing. He was surprised for a moment. This design was really exquisite. He suddenly thought of the woman he met in the garden yesterday. That woman's well-behaved and inflexible appearance instantly jumped into his mind. Your Highness, these were all made by the princess herself. The princess said that the previous shoes and socks were not comfortable, so she will make all the clothes, shoes, and socks for your Highness from now on. The servant answered as he put on Shangguan Jing's shoes and socks. They sighed in their hearts. The princess had only been in the mansion for half a year, but she had already taken good care of the mansion. Everything was arranged well. With a mistress like the princess, they were not as messy as before. With reasonable distribution, they could complete their tasks quickly. It was much easier than before. Moreover, the princess would reward those who did well. Everyone's hard work would be rewarded. It was really good to have the princess in Prince Jing's mansion. What does the princess usually do? Shangguan Jing asked curiously. He fiddled with his sleeves and suddenly realized that there was a totem drawn with the word Jing on the cuffs. Seeing this, he laughed softly. This woman was really clever. In the morning, other than arranging important matters in the manor and making clothes, shoes, and socks for the princess consort will check the shops under the prince's name and calculate the profits and losses. In the afternoon, the princess consort will paint and practice calligraphy in the garden. When Wang Yi is in the Fu, Wang Fei will come to the kitchen on time to prepare meals for Wang Yi. Shangguan Jing was a little surprised. This woman was really amazing. She could actually do so many things in one day. Did she see anything from the shops under the prince's mansion? After Princess Consort took a look at the shop, she came up with many ideas for the shop. Starting from the third month, the shop's profits increased by more than 3 times. Shangguan Jing was shocked. How could he be so powerful? The people in his shop were all talents. In the imperial city, his shop was considered to be profitable. She only had to come up with a few ideas to increase the shop's profits by so much. There's no need to attend court today. Come with me to take a look at the shops. Your Highness wants to go with Your Highness. Your Highness will go to the shop every few days. Today is the right time. When is she going? Probably after breakfast, Wang Yarrow said. Then I'll wait a little longer. I won't go with her. Shangguan Jing said, I'd like to see what's so great about her. Chapter 1135. Shangguan Jing waited in the mansion for a long time. After Tang Guo went out, he followed her from a distance with his men. Host, Shangguan Jing is following you. Let him follow me if he likes. He's finally curious. System, yes, he's finally curious. Shang Guanjing followed her all the way and watched Tang Guo go into the shop to check the accounts and take inventory. He found that the shop was indeed a little different. For example, the shop that sold cloth was not only selling cloth, but also exquisite and beautiful samples hanging beside it, which were all in particularly conspicuous places. Any woman who liked beauty would definitely be unable to move when passing by here. He saw that it was written outside that it sold cloth, custom-made clothes, and would also give rouge, face powder, and small accessories. In the past, the business of this shop was not bad, but it was not as good as the people coming and going now. He couldn't even squeeze in. He could only stand outside and watch. She's quite thoughtful, Shang Guanjing said indifferently, but he saw more and more people, as well as some officials' daughters, coming in sedan chairs. After a while, he saw that the shop assistant in the shop actually took out chairs and placed tea outside. As for the women who were waiting, they sat to the side and drank tea as they waited. The women, who were originally impatient, all laughed and were very willing to wait here. Shang Guanjing didn't say anything. According to the situation, it would be easy for him to make 3 times the profit. As long as he was given some time, or if he expanded the shop a little, the profit would be more. Seeing so many customers, he had the idea of buying the shops on both sides and expanding the shop. Who didn't like gold and silver, even if he was a prince of the dynasty? Your Highness, the princess and the others have left. There was a small door at the back of the shop. Tang Guo was usually put in from that place and came out from that place. Follow them. Where did they go? They went to a restaurant. Shang Guanjing narrowed his eyes. A restaurant. This cloth is made of ready-made clothes. It is a woman's business. There were so many people in a restaurant. He wanted to see what this little girl was capable of. He didn't believe that she knew how to do everything. When he came to the outside of the restaurant, Shang Guanjing was startled by the grand scene inside. Not only was the restaurant full, but there were also people waiting in line outside the restaurant. Since when did this prince's restaurant have so many customers? Your Highness, this happened a few months ago. Shang Guanjing usually left these trivial matters to his subordinates who were capable to do them. It was basically once every half a year or once a year. If there weren't any major problems, he wouldn't show up. In fact, most people wouldn't even know that these shops and restaurants were owned by him. What's going on? It was the princess consort. She once discovered that the annual profit of the restaurant was too low, and this place occupied the best location. I found it strange, so I came to check. Then, what happened? Shang Guanjing asked. After the princess consort saw it, she only said that the dishes were good and the ingredients were top-notch, but ordinary people couldn't afford it. It was better to make more unique side dishes and use ordinary ingredients. As for those top-notch ingredients, it was better to make signature dishes and VIP dishes. In this way, ordinary people could eat the delicious food of the restaurant. 1 or 2 side dishes could be enough for a meal. Although it's not expensive, the more people in the hall, the more money they would make. And those high officials and nobles who pursue enjoyment would naturally choose the private rooms to eat the delicious food made with top-notch ingredients. Fupin Chinese The Summit. Chapter 1136. Not only that, but the princess consort also discussed the dishes with the chefs in the restaurant. After that, the chefs' culinary skills really improved. They have both special dishes and side dishes. That makes sense, Shang Guanjing said. He thought of the side dishes that Tang Guo made. They were all very delicious. We only think that the more expensive the ingredients, the better, and the more special dishes, the better. We have neglected that most of the people coming and going are ordinary people with the surname Bai. Who would be willing to spend a few months' money to eat a meal? Your Highness, you're right. Shang Guanjing saw a few small stalls beside the restaurant. Looking at those people, they seemed to be the waiters of the restaurant. He noticed that these waiters were all wearing the same clothes. They looked very clean and tidy. They were all wearing hats. After thinking for a while, he knew why they were wearing hats. It was to prevent their hair from falling into the food and affecting the customer's appetite. What are they doing? He looked at the stalls and saw some sesame cakes and plain porridge. The princess consort said that some busy people will not sit down and eat quietly. It's better to set up some small stalls outside and buy sesame cakes and plain porridge. People passing by can buy a cake and a bowl of warm plain porridge and eat it in a few mouthfuls. It saves a lot of trouble. Shangguan Jing nodded. Where there was a restaurant, as long as there was no enmity between the two families. Under normal circumstances, the restaurant would not be opened too close to the other side. In particular, those who were slightly capable knew that this was Prince Jing's restaurant. No one dared to open a restaurant next to it to steal business. In this place, there were basically no fixed stalls. Indeed, this method could be used to make a profit for the restaurant. After that, Shangguan Jing quietly followed Tang Guo and looked at most of the shops under her name. After that, he was a little silent. Finally, he laughed and said, "No wonder so many families in the imperial city want to marry her. She does have her merits." The servant who followed him muttered in his heart, "What do you mean by merits? She's obviously very powerful." Who didn't know how powerful the princess consort was? They all envied the prince. It was said that the emperor was good to the prince. He actually bestowed such a good princess consort to the prince. Many matriarchs were pounding their chests and stamping their feet. They regretted not going to the minister's manor earlier to propose marriage. Otherwise, such a good daughter-in-law would have been theirs. Look, the prince's mansion is being managed in such a neat and tidy manner. This prince wants to enter the palace to see imperial brother. In reality, he wanted to see Tang Jiao. For the past half a year, he had been holding himself back from meeting her. When he occasionally saw Shangguan Yi, he didn't dare to reveal anything when he saw the Tang Jiao beside him, for fear of being discovered. He had to make his brother lower his guard so that he could carry out his next plan and successfully exchange the Tang Jiao for King Jing's mansion. As for that capable first miss of the minister's mansion, so what if she was good? After all, she was not someone he cared about. With her intelligence, she was quite suitable for the palace. Host, Shangguan Jing went to the imperial palace. He probably went to see your sister. This guy was really despicable. Tang Guo was resting in the antique shop. She didn't respond to the system at all. These, and these, I want them all. I've long heard that Nanshu's objects are exquisite and beautiful. Today, I see that it's true. Suddenly rich. This was the first thought that came to the system's mind. It was not someone from Nanshu. It was most likely a rich young master from another country who came to visit. It could also be a businessman. Shopkeeper, do you accept jade stones here? Chapter 1137. May I ask, what kind of jade is it? It's a raw stone that was just mined. I come from northern Yang. The man asked someone to bring out a stone. The shopkeeper looked at it and felt that he couldn't make the decision. This, I have to ask my wife. The shopkeeper hesitated for a moment and said, Northern Yang was rich in jade. This was known by all the countries. Many countries' jades came from the Northern Yang kingdom. If these people were really merchants from Northern Yang, the jade in their hands should be good. He couldn't make the decision because he didn't know much about this. There were too many traps in this. If there was a loss, he couldn't bear the responsibility. Today, the princess consort happened to be here. After hesitating, he explained to someone and came in to report to Tang Guo about the situation outside. I'll go out and take a look. Tang Guo walked out with the servant girls. The man who was sitting at the side drinking tea subconsciously raised his head. When he saw Tang Guo, he was stunned for a moment. Then he smiled and said, So this antique shop belongs to this madam? He was about to call her a girl, but then he saw that her hair was tied up in a woman's bun. When the words reached his mouth, he awkwardly changed his words. May I know your surname? I heard from the shopkeeper that you come from Northern Yang and have raw stones in your hands. Do you plan to sell them? My surname is Yang, my full name is Yang Hua. Check the goods. The system almost laughed to death. What kind of name was this? Because he was called Check the Goods, so he was a stone seller. His name told the person who bought the stone to remember to check the goods. Then, young Master Yang, may I ask where your goods are? Madam knows about this. Yang Hua asked curiously. He wasn't curious that the woman was in the business of cosmetics. There weren't many people who knew about raw stones. Of course, he didn't come to sell the stones. The goods in his hands were indeed top-quality goods. Even if he didn't come to sell the stones, he didn't want to sell them to people who didn't know about the goods. I know a little. Tangwa said, is it convenient for me to take a look now? Of course, my car is outside. All the goods are in the car. Since Madam knows, then go take a look. Can I take it to the backyard? Okay. Yang Hua was very curious about what this woman could see. He turned around and walked out. He waved his hand and asked someone to follow the shop assistant and bring all the raw stones to the backyard. Madam, please. Yang Hua's gaze lingered on the woman's face for a moment, his gaze sweeping past her hair bun. He felt that he shouldn't call her madam and that she shouldn't get married. He couldn't help but laugh at this thought. The servant girls and manservants hurriedly moved the stones out. Yang Hua saw Tangwa's skillful movements and was surprised. At the same time, his expression became more serious. He really did not expect that this woman from the Nanshu nation would also know about these things. He had learned something new. It seemed that he could not underestimate the Nanshu nation. For a mere woman to have such knowledge, it could be seen that Nanshu nation was really full of talents. He wondered if he could find 2 of them and send them to his northern Yang nation. Tangwa didn't know what Yang Hua was thinking. She was looking at the stone carefully. These goods are not bad. I see that there are a few pieces inside. If they are cut out and made into objects, they will definitely be priceless. The system was very capable. It could easily see what was inside the stone. Could it be that the ancient merchants were all so conscientious to bring such good goods over? You're thinking too much. There were many unscrupulous merchants in ancient times. You're tuning in to the Dreamy Chapters YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.